Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nick Soltani. I'm a registered migration agent. Following large number of inquiries that I received from my clients in Australia and abroad, I decided to create this video today for your information. You may find this video very useful. A lot of my clients who are currently either overseas or international students currently studying in Australia, or they're on a graduate work visa after completion of their studies in Australia, ask me about points test system under the General Skilled Migration Program. Obviously, as you may be aware, it has become increasingly difficult throughout the past couple of years to migrate to Australia, in particular in the past 2 years and in particular in this financial year. The Australian government has further reduced the number of places available under the General Skilled Migration Program, mainly to encourage the new migrants to go and live in regional cities of Australia as opposed to Melbourne and Sydney, Brisbane and other metropolitan major cities. We have seen an unprecedented influx of new migrants coming to, in particularly Melbourne and Sydney, and that has created a lot of problems, put a lot of pressure on the public services within the cities. Obviously, Australian government has taken measures to rectify that, and the first measure that was taken by the Australian government is to introduce a new subclass of visa called subclass 491. And I personally am aware throughout a large number of my clients and inquiries that I receive and the people who have signed up with me, that people in generally are capitalizing a lot and putting a lot of their hopes into obtaining this visa to go to regional cities of Australia. I'm going to briefly talk about the structure of the subclass 491, and then I will explain a little bit more about the points system. I do not intend to talk about the points system in general. I'll just make a comparison of the changes between the current point system and the point system that will come into effect from the 16th of November 2019. First of all, the 491 visa is a 5 years temporary residency visa. It can lead into permanent residency after 3 years. So as a potential migrant, you're required to live and work in a regional area. The regional area that is specified is anywhere outside Melbourne, Brisbane, Sydney, Gold Coast, Perth, and pretty much that's it, if I haven't actually missed out anything. The difference between this 491 visa is replacing 489 visa. Some of you may be aware of the 489 visa. It was a 4 years, or it is a 4 years temporary residency visa, can lead into permanent residency after 2 years. Obviously, the first difference is that this is a 5 years visa, can lead to permanent residency after 3 years. But the major problem between 489 and 491 is the fact that in the past, a large number of people who have obtained 489 visa would have gone straight away to large metropolitan cities such as Melbourne and Sydney, worked in Melbourne and Sydney, for example, upgraded their English skills and obtained Australian work experience. Then they would have applied for a 189 visa, which is permanent residency visa through skilled migration. On the 491 visa, the government has actually saw through that loophole in the law and has actually sealed that loophole by introducing conditions attached to the 491 visa, restricting potential migrants from moving to metropolitan area within the first, within the entire period of that visa, unless obviously you go on a permanent resident visa, which then enables you to move anywhere in Australia freely. So if you are granted a 491 visa, you cannot apply for any other stream of general skilled migration visas. You cannot apply for partner visas, you cannot apply for business visas. So you're stuck with you're stuck in a regional area for at least a 3 years and then you have to show that you have actually worked there. Some of my clients ask me do I have to work in the occupation that I nominated to migrate to Australia? Not necessarily. As a joke, I usually say you can become a truck driver or an Uber driver, and that's considered a job. You just need to pay tax for that purpose. It is still a points-based visa. We don't know what would be the supply and demand, but I can tell from my own experience that I have actually interviewed a large number of people in the vicinity of probably around 100 people, out of which probably 20-25% have signed up to go and apply for this visa. I know it is very popular. It is being seen as the way of migrating to Australia for a large number of international students who are currently in Australia and trying to get permanent residency. The number of places that have been allocated to the 491 visa for this financial year is 14,000 places. So you can imagine that it's a highly competitive visa, and I wouldn't be surprised that the number of points required to get this visa would be again similar to 189 and 190 visa, or actually 189, which at the time of recording this visa is between 80 or 85 points. Obviously, we are expecting a change in the points system. To get the 491 visa, you need to be either nominated by a state or territory in Australia, or you have to be sponsored by an eligible relative who lives in regional Australia. And when I talk about regional Australia, a lot of my clients they get worried because they make a comparison between a small city in their own home country to Australia. In Australia, small cities are benefiting from a very high standard of living standards. Hospitals, good schools, some of them good universities. For example, I live in Melbourne. There is a regional city called Geelong, which is about an hour drive from Melbourne. It has world-class university, world-class hospitals, a very good sizable population in comparison to Australian standards. Obviously, in comparison to China or India, Australian small cities are like small villages, but you can imagine that Australia only enjoys nearly 23 million population. Now, obviously, if you're nominated by state or sponsored, you get 15 points after 16th of November. This is important to remember. If you have a skilled spouse or partner, they would qualify for an additional 10 points as opposed to 5 points in the past. Or when I'm talking about the past, I'm talking about anytime before 16th of November. If your spouse has a competent English, or as we would say IELTS 6 in each band score, they can get an additional 5 points. If you are single, you will automatically qualify for 10 points. If you have studied in Australia and you're currently onshore in Australia, and you have studied in one of the STEM qualifications, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, you qualify for an additional 10 points. I have taken some notes about the visa fees. I'm not going to talk about it. The government also introduced a new bill into the parliament, which was actually passed in July 2019, and that will affect a large number of other acts like New Tax System, Family Assistance Act, Disability Service Act, Fair Entitlements Guaranteed Act, Higher Education Support Act, National Disability Insurance Scheme Act, Paid Parental Leave Act, and Social Security Act. What does this mean for you as a potential 491 visa holders? That you will enjoy social security benefits, which is very known to be one of the best in the world, that many of Australian permanent residents or citizens enjoy as the holder of a temporary resident visa holder subclass 491. So if you're coming to Australia on a 491 visa, you will get access to social security in comparison to a permanent resident visa holder or an Australian citizen. So this is a very good visa. I would say due to limited number of places available, this visa is highly competitive. I wouldn't be surprised to see again, the people with 80 or 85 points would qualify. It's imperative if you intend to apply to migrate to Australia that you act very quickly. In my opinion, you have to have your skill assessment done, your work experience assessment done, all ready to be lodged on the 16th of November. I have actually commenced work on the people that I have signed up, so we intend to prepare all of their application to go out as soon as this visa comes into effect. And then we're hoping that these clients can get early visas of early 491 visa. What else I can add to this that would be beneficial to you? That's pretty much sums it up. If you have any questions or if you like to inquire more about the 491 visa, feel free to drop us a line on our email address, which is available on this video, at the bottom of this video, or our WhatsApp. We usually respond very quickly on WhatsApp. I look forward to see all of you in Australia one day. Have a good day and lovely evening.